Layne Miles from Miles Farm. Going to talk today about his experience as a soybean producer and having a little help along the way and that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to talk about some ways that maybe you can look at being a little more economical with your soybean insect control. Just some thoughts that I got on that kind of stuff. And we'll talk a lot about red band. Obviously that was a major player for us in the Mid-South this year, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But I got some other ideas about some stuff that I want to share with you about some of the work that we've been doing and that kind of thing. So if everybody's ready, I'm gonna have Layne come up and start this thing off. And y'all, this is a very open session, so what I'd prefer is as he goes through his talk and I go through mine, if you want to say something or ask a question, let's keep it very informal, if you don't mind. I think we get more out of it if we do it that way. So I'm gonna let Layne talk, and when he gets done, I'll take over. Okay. All right, Layne. Knock it out, buddy.
Dr. Gus told me earlier that he had a lot to say, so he didn't really want me to go very long. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him start. That's okay.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. What I got is kind of a little bit not very traditional. I'm kind of gonna go over young farmers coming up and finding a mentor to help them get through some of their situations. Just a little bit about me. Starting off is my name is Layne Miles. 23 years old, and my wife Ryan, and then I have a son who is 7 months. His name is Luke. And then I farm with my dad, Matt Miles, and Sherry Miles. Went to UAM, got a degree in plant and soil science, and we're currently farming 11,000 acres in 4 different counties, which is Deshay, Ashley, Chico, and Drew. And you can see it kind of on the maps there in southeast Arkansas. We farm cotton, corn, soybeans, rice, whatever pays the bills at the time. And then we have a small trucking company to go along with that. Kind of early in my life, I wasn't much on farming. I wasn't much on anything. You know, as a kid, I kind of resented farming. All my friends were at a swimming pool, and I was working. And as a teen, I was working, and they were at the lake skiing. So it really kind of, I didn't have the same perspective on the farm then as I do now. When I really got to where I felt like that farming was what I wanted to do, my dad had given me some responsibility. When I turned about 16, I was able to drive, and so he gave me my own acreage to irrigate, which is about 400 acres. And little did I know he was really making decisions, watching what I was doing, as long as I didn't screw it up. But it really gave me an attitude change. I mean, I got responsibility of my own, did kind of what I felt like I wanted to do, which is really what he wanted to do. But as a, you know, I went from a little no good, snot-nosed kid that felt like I didn't want nothing to do with it, and to a farm kid. When I was about 18, just going into college, you know, I would go to school, I was living in Monticello, I would go back to McGee or Boydell, and would go back to work, and ended up from having a dad to having a dad/best friend. You know, we worked together, we ate dinner table together. You know, we did everything, and I had to learn there was a fine line there between best friend and dad. You know, you want to do all the things you do with your friends, but you've got your dad there that you have to respect and learn from. And these are some of the things that I think that as a young person coming up, you know, you kind of need to look at and my way through what, you know, kind of what I did. And to start off is education, and you can see where it says education makes you think. Education was a big deal for me, and it may not be for everybody, but I think there's two different kinds of education. You know, there's a school of hard knocks, which is, you know, the way that we all grew up, you know, farming, and it was the hard work, the sweat, the long hours, and the time away from our family that really taught us, you know, how to do our job. And then there is the second type of education that you know, you see the little deal that says put up or shut up. My dad told me that if I didn't go to college, that was it. I wasn't doing anything with him. I'd had to go find me something else to do. Had to bring something back to the farm. And what college did for me is help me learn to research different things, gave me a new outlook of how to look up information, and also it teaches accountability, because you got to make your grades to get to the next level. And this little saying here I thought kind of went with what I was talking about from Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And that's kind of what I feel like college is train your mind not to just study facts and memorize, but to train your mind to think of how to figure out each problem that we have to do in life. And that really pertains to farming, because we have all kind of problems every day. Next was the transition from one generation to another. And this was a big one because, you know, as what I'm going to call the coach and the player, you know, as the coach becomes from the player to the coach, as he makes that transition, he has to learn to instead of just doing everything when he feels like it needs to be done, you know, he's got to learn to take that person he's bringing up and teach them how to do it. You know, they, like in marketing, instead of just doing it all for you, you know, let them lose a little money, you know, try and do their marketing or make a little money. And time management, that's a real big one for a young person. It was for me. You know, me personally, I was not a very good time manager. In school, I did everything at the last minute, and when I went to the farm, I started doing everything at the last minute. And Dad told me, you know, you always stay 3 days ahead or you end up 3 days behind. So time management was a big one for me. Same with preparation, you know, figuring out what you're going to do each day, the day before you're going to do it. People management, you know, that and patience, I'm going to kind of use those together. You know, as a coach, you've got to really be patient with the player. You know, they're going to screw up. They're going to do things you don't want them to do, but you got to be patient to be able to teach them. You know, and teaching them people management it was a big one. I was always taught when I come in, I was below everybody, and I was the one that everybody told to do. And what that did for me was learn that people don't work for us, they work with us. You know, they're family, they're not employees. And then also compatibility and letting go are together. And you got to make sure you're compatible with each other. You know, me and Dad do, I think, a pretty decent job. You know, we're best friends and father and son, and we make sure that we don't ruin that father and son relationship over our business. And he does a good job of letting go and letting me make a few decisions, as long as it doesn't hurt me, you know, financially. It may hurt me other ways, you know, mentally, but he lets me learn to do what I need to do. And then you have the transitions from the fan to the player. And what I'm kind of getting there is instead of being the person in the stands watching the players play, you know, you become the player. And you got to learn how to play that game, and you're getting coached on how to play it. You know, always ask questions. There's no stupid questions, because, you know, if you don't ask, you don't know. And then as a young person, we've got to, what I said, you learn to use your audibles. You know, if there's anything that goes wrong, you've got to have a different plan for you know, what the new situation is. This kind of went along with the daily explosion, and where I'm going is any different time something could go wrong. You know, you prepare for an all-out blitz. You know, you're not, when you hike the ball, you're not prepared for all those situations to come your way. and you can go from plan A to plan D real quick. Be able to adjust for that situation. An example for me is, we come to the shop one morning and it was kind of drizzly, raining. We were going to cut rice, didn't look like we were going to be able to. And we thought, well, let's just go make sure we don't find a dry spot. By the end of the day, we moved 4 combines from 3 locations to 1 location and cut somewhere amongst 20 to 30,000 bushels in a few hours. Where I go with that is that our plan A was to go home, and instead of that, we ended up plan D, cutting rice. And during those situations, as the coach, always help make that decision if they're not making the right one. If they're wanting to go home, kind of push them. Hey guys, man, let's go look, make sure there's not a place we can go. You have the experience. We don't. Our experience is going to be, all right, well, we get the rest of the day off. Well, we don't need the rest of the day off. You got to take time to be able to do that. And a little saying there, it never gets easier, you just get better. Those situations, never get easier. You just get better, you get smarter. You learn to move on your feet a little faster. And these are some of my mentors, my coaches. I've got more than these 3. But, it starts off with my dad being my head coach. He's everything. He helps me do whatever I need to do. He keeps the situation under control. And then as long as what I decide doesn't hurt me, he's going to let me, as long as it goes the right way, he's going to let me do what I need to do. If I go left and he goes right, as long as we get north, we're good. And then as the head coach, he knows both the offense and defense. And where I'm going with that is next is Billy Garner, who is my dad's best friend, our farm manager, my best friend. He's my offensive coach. He helps me during the crop year, teaches me, what to look for on equipment, what to look for during each season that we're doing, whether it's, fall work, spring work, planting, irrigation. He helps me through all that. And then Rob Dedman, who's our consultant and also best friend, everybody's family, is my defensive coach. And what Rob does is while he's scouting, he may see me going down the road, call me, tell me come over there, and he'll teach me what he's looking at, whether he's looking at weeds early or looking at bugs, whatever the situation is. He's always teaching. And then on crop production, he fertilized. We spend hours with fertilize. I run a spreader truck, and he kind of tells me where to go and what I need to do at the time. And this picture was a big one to me, is why I kind of separated out myself. That's me and my dad and my son. And what I want to do is be able to instill in my son what my dad instilled into me. Whether he farms, whether he doesn't farm, he's going to work. He's going to learn how to do things on the farm, because I think that'll help him in other situations in life. And these are some of the key points that I hope some people take away from this is, always be willing to learn as the player, and don't be afraid to ask questions. You never know if you don't ask. And then be quick to think and make decisions. You got to make some kind of decision. It may be the right decision, wrong decision, but it's a decision that's got to be made. And find somebody who's willing to help and be patient with each other. You can't do it all by yourself. There's always people to ask. There's always somebody that is going to be willing to help you. Maybe not be the person you think is going to help you, but they'll always be willing to help. And be patient with each other, because without patience, you can't do anything. But that's pretty much all I have. If anybody has any questions or anything, or if not, Mr. Gus's floor.
We got plenty of time. Anybody? All right, thanks, Layne. Let's give him a hand.